Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a kind but poor shoemaker and his equally kind-hearted wife. Though the shoemaker was skillful and took great pride in his craft, times were hard, and they had become so poor that at last, he had nothing left but enough leather to make one last pair of shoes. One cold evening, the shoemaker cut the leather carefully, ready to sew it the following day, before leaving it on his workbench. As he went to bed with his wife, he said with a sigh, "I suppose there is nothing left for us but to hope and pray." During the night, while the quiet village lay wrapped in slumber, something magical happened in the shoemaker's little shop. The tiny workshop became alive with whispers and giggles. A group of little elves, no taller than the shoemaker's wooden workbench, appeared from the shadows. Their tiny hands worked deftly, threading needles and sewing with precision. As dawn painted the sky with shades of pink and gold, the elves completed a pair of shoes so fine and perfect that it seemed fit for a royal foot. The next morning, the shoemaker was astonished to find the beautifully finished shoes on his workbench. "What marvelous work!" he exclaimed. He examined the shoes and found not a single stitch out of place. They were the finest shoes he had ever seen. He placed them in the window display, and soon after, a wealthy gentleman passing by noticed them and purchased the shoes for a handsome sum. With the money the shoemaker earned, he was able to buy more leather, enough to make 2 more pairs of shoes. As before, he prepared the leather in the evening, leaving it on his workbench for the next day. Once again, during the night, the little elves returned. They busied themselves with laughter and glee, crafting 2 pairs of exquisite shoes with the same magical finesse. Morning came, and the shoemaker discovered the shoes, each pair more stunning than the last. Again, he displayed them, and they were quickly sold, providing enough gold for 4 pairs of shoes. This mysterious occurrence continued, with the elves diligently crafting beautiful shoes night after night, and prosperity flowing into the shoemaker's household. Soon, the shoemaker and his wife began to live comfortably, but with gratitude came curiosity. One snowy night, the shoemaker and his wife decided to stay awake to uncover their secret helpers. They hid behind the door of their little workshop and watched with growing wonder as the tiny elves appeared once more. With nimble fingers and joyous hearts, the elves stitched and sewed without pause until the first light of daybreak. The shoemaker was overwhelmed by their generosity. After the elves had gone, he said to his wife, "We must do something to repay them for their kindness." His wife agreed and devised a plan. "They work so hard for us while wearing such thin, ragged clothes. Let's make them little clothes and shoes," she suggested. And so, they worked through the day. The shoemaker's wife sewed tiny shirts and trousers, knitted small stockings, and the shoemaker crafted little shoes from the finest leather he could afford. That evening, instead of preparing cut pieces of leather, the shoemaker laid out the tiny garments as gifts. As the night drew on, the elves arrived, ready for their task. Upon seeing the tiny clothes, their eyes widened in surprise and delight. They donned the new attire joyously, admiring each piece of clothing. With happy hearts, they danced around the room, laughing and singing merrily. Their mission fulfilled, the elves vanished into the night, never to return again. However, the shoemaker and his wife continued to prosper.